So what I'm going to do here now is to use the example of the two PLCs that we have been looking at, but I'm going to use a new diagram that more properly depicts the physical and functional architecture of a TCP/IP network. Then I will expand on the diagram to show you some really cool things that TCP/IP allows Modbus to do. So here's that new diagram. All right, so you can see there's PLC1, which is a Modbus client, and PLC2, which is a Modbus server. And I've sort of depicted them as this being connected to this line here. And this line is just a representation of the network. I will show you what that line represents physically. It has to do with hubs and Ethernet cables and so on. I'll show you that later on. But for now, just remember they're actually plugging in to something here into the network, all right? So when Modbus is used with RS-485, you would know that there's a rule that there can only be one master on the multi-drop RS-485 network, and that master orchestrates all of the communication. This is not the case with Modbus TCP/IP. In fact, a Modbus TCP/IP network can have multiple masters and multiple slaves, or rather multiple clients and servers using the proper terminology. All right, so I can have a client there, an next client there, I can have a server there, I can have a server there, and everybody will be happy. Multiple clients, multiple servers, multiple conversations. So now, in addition to that, there's another point. A Modbus client can communicate with multiple Modbus servers, and Modbus server can handle multiple requests. Can handle requests from multiple Modbus clients, and all this takes place simultaneously, which is fantastic. That cannot happen on a RS-485 network, all right? So in other words, for instance, this client could be requesting data from this server and that server, or this server could be handling requests from this client and that client simultaneously. All of that takes place, well, pseudo-simultaneously. It looks like it's happening. But when we get more into Ethernet, we'll show you exactly how it happens, right? But understand that that makes the network even more powerful. Understand as well that the Modbus software in these individual devices piggybacks or uses TCP/IP network and its features to pull this off, all right? But it's the same Modbus, remember that. And last point here, there are devices that can act as a Modbus client and server at the same time, which is completely unheard of on RS-485. So I represented it here by a two-color device, which is a client and server. So this can request data from servers. It can also handle requests from clients, which is a really, really fantastic feature to have for this type of network. So those are some of the features. These features that I'm showing you here, most of them, in fact, all of them are enabled by something called packet switching, which TCP/IP is able to implement together along with Ethernet, of course, right? A TCP/IP network on Ethernet. And that packet switching allows these things to seemingly occur simultaneously. And we'll look at that in more detail further along in the course. All right.